to enjoy some
I was
fun
up
action
very
in
early
Cagliari.
this morning to
Rayon
mark
Hughes
my
is
spot,
delivering. The
get my
course
territory
from the
down
start
here
is a
for the
battle of
opening
control
race
and skill
of
with
the
the
preliminary
pace
event.
forcing the
You can
boats
see
together.
why.
Look
It's popular
forward to
already.
multiple.
But before we look at how the opening day of the first preliminary event played out, spare a thought for two teams that aren't here. Because in recent weeks they've attracted as much, if not more, attention than the main players. And it's easy to see why. The Australians haven't been in the Cup since their historic appearances in the 1980s. So taking part in AC38 is a big deal for them and their supporters. American supporters, on the other hand, were faced with the opposite prospect. That is, not being involved in the America's Cup for the first time in over 170 years. And that would have been a massive deal. Fortunately, that's not the case, and they're back in. But despite using the same boat as last time, that's where the similarity ends. So I was keen to catch up with the new boss, Kenny Reid, who many will know as the former president of North Sails. We caught up yesterday, and here's what he had to say. Kenny, great to see you. Great to see you back in the Cup. This is an exciting time, isn't it?
It's a super exciting time. It almost didn't happen. Without Chris and Carell at the very last minute, this doesn't happen. And what a shame that would have been if America wasn't in the America's Cup. So I think there was a sense of relief, but at the same time, it's a pretty daunting task going forward. Fortunately, we have two principals that I think are in this for the long haul, so there's not pressure to kind of deliver overnight, so we can take our time a little bit. But now the hard work starts.
How do you see the thing shaping up? Because this is the shortest runway I think I've ever seen for an America's Cup cycle. And I just wonder whether that presents an opportunity for actually some sort of shock results, because all the standard things that we thought were part of the America's Cup cycle, like racing at the venue the year before and having lots of racing together, that's all gone.
The America's Cup is fundamentally changed, and especially with this cost cap coming in the future, you can't run an America's Cup program like you did even a couple of years ago. Listen, we all want to trade places with the Kiwis and the Italians, the amount of time and effort and money they've spent in redeveloping their boat. Of course we would, but listen, it is what it is. We got to make the best of it. We got to figure out ways to catch up and catch up fast. You got to be creative, where you got to take some chances in certain areas, and in other areas we just got to be smart. So this is a new America's Cup, fundamentally new America's Cup, and I like the fact that we're growing from bottom up. So we're tiny and lean, and we can expand from there. Versus, I've been part of a company that had to go top down and all of a sudden shrink. That's hard. I think growing is much, much easier than it is shrinking. And for sure, these America's Cup teams are going to have to shrink over time in order to be a modern America's Cup program.
Yeah. Have you set any goals for where you want to be at the end of this cycle?
I think right now the goal for America's Cup in Naples is to be competitive, to be feared. To when we leave the dock in the morning against somebody, they're going to know that it's a tough team to race against. It's a hard-nosed team to race against. I'd love that to be our personality, to be aggressive on the water. But we're also not. We're also understanding how fresh and new this is, and we're going to be patient with a younger core that we think we can build around for the future. That's really one of our fundamental goals, and it's a fundamental goal of Carell and of Chris. So as long as we stick to being patient, because I'm sure there'll be plenty of days where you look in the water and say, what the hell are these kids doing? And there'll be other days that you look in the water and say, that's why now I get it. I'm sure there'll be plenty of those days, but yeah, we got a long way to go.
And talking of days on the water, I mean, we all know that hours on the water is often what defines any kind of competition and team. How hard is it? I mean, you get 45 days plus. I'm not sure how many extra days you get, but let's just say you get 45 days. How hard is it to actually get 45 days sailing in this year?
Well, in the 40s, we're doing a lot of 40 sailing right now. We just started. So while I'm standing here talking to you, the team is back in Pensacola sailing for the first time. Actually, our team is starting to come together for the first time this week. So that's how fresh and new we are. We will, if there's an event in Naples in September, we will be there with at least 140 for that and kind of a mishmash of a team. We're not 100% sure what the team will look like by then. And then going forward, we just need to start adapting the 75 into what a modern day 75 looks like with the systems and the battery power and all the changes that are going to have to happen to that boat. And we're hoping to be sailing quite possibly by the fall down in Pensacola. Honestly, I don't know if we could do 45 days at this stage, because the boat is so far behind in what it needs to be to compete next year. We got a lot of work to do.
So you're telling me I got to book a flight fall for Pensacola to come down and see you?
Come see us hopefully in October, and hopefully you see a boat zipping around the water. I'm not a religious man, but let us pray.
I'll hold you to it. All right, good to see you again.
Very nice to see you.
And 7 AC40s get onto the course.
Early start, GBR Blue.
Oh, a beautiful start on the left-hand side.
Team Alinghi coming round in second place, finding some speed that was eluding them in the build-up to this regatta. Leading all the way round the course, Luna Rossa, women and youth are not letting anybody else. This team right here. What a performance in the very first race here in Sardinia. That is how you make your mark. The first race goes the way of Luna Rossa.
Well, the grey shirts and caps and the Prada branding gives you all the clues you need as to who this crowd was supporting. And during the race, they were cheering every mark round it, and with very good reason too, because this opening race was superb. What a way to open the series. Absolutely incredible. It wasn't like that for everybody though. Unfortunately, the British main team suffered a technical problem and weren't able to start. But at the start, there was one boat that got it absolutely spot on, and that was Luna Rossa, the Luna Rossa women and youth team that hit the line at speed, on time, ahead of everybody else, and basically just extended their lead all the way around the course. It was a really, really impressive performance from a team that just kept doing this yesterday. Absolutely incredible, fascinating stuff. It was also very interesting to see that the main team, led by Peter Burling in the Luna Rossa camp, were down the pan and very nearly suffered a major capsize at the bottom gate. But what a race. No wonder they were cheering all the way around. The second race delivered even more excitement, starting with a superbly bold start by Emirates Team New Zealand with Nathan Outridge at the helm. A port tack start across the entire fleet. That's pretty impressive to watch. Hot on their heels was the two Luna Rossa boats, and in fact early on in the race, Luna Rossa, the blue team, got in front of the Kiwis. The Kiwis were having none of that and managed to get the lead back. But it was an incredible race between the Kiwi boat leading and then both Luna Rossa teams hot on their heels. In the end, it was actually the Luna Rossa women and youth team that took second place, with the Luna Rossa primary team in third. On the other end of the enjoyment scale for the teams at least, there was massive disappointment from the Brits. Dylan Fletcher's team were forced to retire with what looked like yet another, or at least a continuation of their technical problems. And for Hannah Mills, they spun out just before the start and really struggled to get the boat going after that.
So before the first race, the traveller sheaves broke on the port side that attaches to the ram, so we weren't able to move the traveller at all. We had a temporary fix that we hoped would hold out, which didn't, and then we finally managed to get a full fix sorted for the third and final race of the day.
Well, the third and final race of the day provided even more drama. It started with a superb start by GB1 with Dylan Fletcher at the helm, having had a disastrous day beforehand. but they led up at the windward gate. They were chased hard by Emirates Team New Zealand with Nathan Outridge at the helm, who then got through them. And after that, it was a very, very tight race with some pretty sketchy manoeuvres from pretty much everybody, but it was Nathan Outridge that looked like he was going to seal another win. Apart from the last leg of the course, had other ideas about that, and Nathan and the Kiwis lost it through a jibe, did a great big submarine, which allowed the Italian women and youth team to come through and take another win. And you can just imagine how that went down here.
They need to hold back both of these Italian boats.
You looked so silky smooth all the way around. I mean, most of the manoeuvres were just flawless. I mean, what do you put that down to?
Well, for sure we know this kind of wave because we train here. We didn't know so well the wind of today because it wasn't like typical sea breeze. It was more shifty, but the waves were hard to sail and we know them very well. We did a lot of crashes and hopefully we can learn more from them.
There's awesome sailing conditions. You know, that's what we all were hoping we would get when we came here, and it's awesome to, you know, show what these AC40s can do in amazing sailing conditions. It kind of reminded me a lot of Jeddah when we were racing there. We had a lot of wind, and as the day goes on, the sea state gets up. But yeah, it was awesome today.
Yeah, there is a temptation, there has been a temptation in the build-up to this event by some were saying, well, it's interesting, but they are one designs, as if to say there's not much to be learned from it. I suspect that's not the case after a day like today.
There's always something to be learned. No matter what boat you sail, every day you'll always learn something that'll help you get better. With the One Design AC40s, it might not be so much on the technical development of the boats, but the skills and how you sail the boat and how you manoeuvre it, and most of it's about racing and communication processes. And for us as a team, we're brand new. You know, Seb and I, it's the first time we've ever done a race together today. And so getting that communication process working and getting, you know, the dynamic going with Goobs and Andy on the boat and just how we like chat through the process is what this event's about for us. You know, obviously the America's Cup's always about the design race and trying to make your boat go fast, and it's a match race, whereas here it's, you know, just getting us to go through our racing processes. So yeah, I thought our day went really well, and you know, our results were a bit up and down, but overall, like when we were executing it was going really well.
Well, what a day. There's an awful lot that could be said about the racing today, and I'm sure there'll be some long and detailed debriefs. But if you just wanted a headline, there's really one to concentrate on, and that is Luna Rossa, women and youth, are running away with it. They are 9 points ahead of the second place boat. This just happens to be their teammates, the other Luna Rossa boat.